I think creativity and play are so intertwined. I cannot emphasize that enough. So, we're so used to being in our heads in this culture,
Hmm.
only this culture, not other cultures.
Yeah.
And we've got all the reasons not to kind of worry about what mark I'm making on the page, or how does somebody think about this, and we're second guessing ourselves all the time. Whereas if we don't take it so seriously and enjoy the ride, so that is of course being in the moment, but it's playing and not worrying about the end result. If you're worrying about the end result, you're not in the process of truly being creative.
Mm. Welcome, everyone, to Redefining Success with Emma and Iona. So, here we explore the concepts of success and how it connects to our creativity, our joy, and our abundance. Welcome, Emma.
Welcome, Iona. Today we are interviewing the amazing, incredible, and totally inspiring Jackie Juno. Jackie is an exuberant, vibrant force of creativity and wisdom. A multiple poetry slam champion, writer, and performer, she has the ability to weave the mystical and the magical with the wildly hilarious. She's a published author, spiritual mentor, and a shamanic practitioner. And whether she's storytelling, holding ceremony or workshops, or performing one of her amazing one woman shows and taking those on the road, Jackie brings her own unique blend of depth, humour, and vibrant authenticity to everything she does. Welcome, Jackie.
Oh, thank you. That's a great introduction.
Oh, it's so lovely to have you here. Can you begin by telling us and our viewers a bit about what you do and yourself and your creative journey?
Yes, okay. How long have we got? Yeah, I suppose nowadays I do a number of things. So I'm a celebrant, so I conduct funerals and hand fastings, baby blessings, all that sort of thing. Um, I'm not an official registrar, so I can't actually conduct a wedding, but I conduct ceremonies for people. I've been reading the tarot for like, I realize it's like 45 years or something ridiculous. So I read the tarot, sometimes in my own home, sometimes out and about festivals, on the street in Totnes, wherever it might be. Um, I'm a shamanic practitioner. Yeah, I was trained, oh gosh, I don't know, 35 or more years ago. And I bring that into a lot of things that I do, for example, mentoring and group work. So I devised this thing called A Course in Goddesses
Mm.
about 15 years ago. And it's an experiential course where we work with different goddesses, archetypes from around the world. And quite a lot of that is shamanic journeying. Or ceremony or various craft things we do on that course. Um, what else do I do? Should have written it all down, shouldn't I? I was actually an artist for many years, and that was my main thing from being a kid. That was all I wanted to be, was an artist. So I went to art college, and but the painting has kind of taken a back seat since I really just exploded on the poetry scene about 15 or 20 years ago. Um, but I've always been a performer. I mean, I had a school reunion about 20 years ago, and we were catching up. What are we doing now? And I said I was a comedian, and they were like, "Yeah, of course you are." I was always the clown at school, and they remembered a lot of stuff that I had forgotten. So I love making people laugh, and I love performing. I was a dancer for years, and I have actually incorporated some dance even at this ancient age. In my last show, second to last show, Cancer Dancer. So yeah, I love performing. I do sound healing,
Mm.
one to one or in groups. I've got a collection of very ancient Tibetan singing bowls.
Wow.
Gosh, yes, a lot of stuff, I suppose. I'm sure I've missed something out, but yeah, writing. Yes, I'm mostly a poet, but I've written a novel recently. I haven't done anything with it yet, and prose and yeah, flash fiction. Just love writing.
So thanks, Jackie. I mean, one of the reasons that we invited you on the show today is because what we're really interested in is talking to people and to uncover people who've managed to connect with their authentic creative self, where they're just naturally creating from a place of who they are. And I think you really embody this. And for us, you just seem to be successful in having connected to your own creativity and your ease of delivering your humor and the way that you can connect your humor to such sometimes really difficult topics like you did with your cancer dancer workshop. You seem to have this, that seems to be your superpower to me, how you weave your humor in to really profound wisdom as well, and sometimes quite difficult topics. And I'm wondering about this journey with creativity. Has that come natural to you, or, is it something that you've always had, or is it something that you've crafted and worked on, and through your journey, it's kind of brought through your essence of your natural gifts that you seem to be giving? And if you can speak into that.
Yeah, I mean, you put a 4-year-old in a room with a bunch of paper and crayons or something, and they would just go over and create something. They won't sit there and say, yes, what am I trying to, they don't think about it. They just, the joy of it and the immediacy. There's no filter between themselves and the creativity. So I think that is our natural state. Everyone, people say, oh, I'm not creative. Everyone is creative. It might not take the form of painting now as an adult, but any child can just draw and have fun. So I believe that we are innately creative, all of us. And some of us have more propensity to maybe being a painter than others. But the way that our minds are, I think if you watch any children playing, they will just naturally create imaginary worlds out of a cardboard box or whatever. So I think that is our innate birthright. And it's beaten out of us usually in various ways. So personally, luckily, I was born into a family that there were 5 of us daughters, and we played and we were allowed to be creative. And yeah, school might bash it out of you in some ways, but I think it was allowed more in the 70s, 60s, and 70s when I was growing up. Art was more valued. I think art isn't valued in this society much at all. Um, and yeah, so I did. That's all I wanted to be, was an artist as a child, and that's why I went to art college as soon as I left school. Um, and yeah, nobody would call me a successful artist on the outside, but if you love something and you're passionate about it and you do it, that's, to me, that's success.
Yeah.
And it's nice to share it with others, but it's not imperative, because I feel like you go through an amazing process whenever you create anything.
Yeah. How do you if you have that spark of creativity, where do you go with it? Can you share with us a bit about, I mean, I know it might be different for different things that you do, but if you suddenly have a spark, do you immediately think, oh, right, I'm going to do that? Or is there a process you go through, or maybe a ritual you go through? Or are you very spontaneous with it, or how does it, or is it a mix? How does it?
Yeah, with different forms, I feel like art for me is very spontaneous and uh, sort of passionate and whatever. But writing is a different process for me. Yes, I might get the initial inspiration, but then it takes a lot to craft something and be really proud of it. And my heart sinks if somebody comes up to me and says, "Oh, I've written a poem this morning. It just came." and do you want to hear it? And I'm like, oh, because to me, you need to work on something to really value it and honor it. And yeah, with words, that's just how I am with words. And editing is really important, and actually really honoring each word to make it the best it can be. With art, I feel when it's finished, and the danger is to overdo it.
Mm.
So I feel differently with art and with words and with dance. So I was a dancer for years, and again, that was a different process for me. I'm not speaking on for anybody else who's a dancer or an artist or a writer, but the dance for me was very much in the moment, and I tended not to choreograph much. I'd have a rough idea of the energy and the vibe of the particular dance the piece that I was dancing to, but I would never do kind of workout steps and things because again, it just felt like a very in the moment thing. So those three things are very different how I work with them.
So, with were you a did you perform? Were you dancing? Were you a performance dancer?
Yeah, I was a professional dancer for some years. Yeah,
And you were
I
able to work freely and expressively in that way.
yeah, I was working with different bands, most notably Global, which was a kind of world music trance dance
Mm.
band with four live musicians, and we did a lot. We did a lot of gigs, big gigs, um, WOMAD and things like that. So the music was generally the same, although slightly improvised with each playing of it. But yeah, I'd have kind of set dances and outfits to go with each piece that I would perform, but it was different every time. Yeah, because it was very much in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, so you also mentioned how you it's not imperative to share, that you choose to share it. And I'm wondering, what do you get out of the process of sharing it?
Yes. Okay. Um, Again, all those different things like performance, comedy, poetry, dance, art, music, singing, whatever. They're all very different. For
Hmm.
example, comedy, yeah, I can make myself laugh, but really the whole idea is to make other people laugh. So I think comedy in particular is very important that, you have an audience. Uh, yeah, I think dance is, for me, it's quite an internal thing.
Mhm.
And but when you're dancing with other people, it's fantastic because you can interact, and it's very much in the moment. There's so much joy there often. Um, Poetry, I suppose I. It's interesting, isn't it? Because some writers say, you've got to think of your audience, and personally, I don't agree with that. I write what needs to be written from inside. So I don't usually think of my audience. Yeah, it's great if you share it and people enjoy it or find something from it or are moved by it. Um, but really, it's to me, it's the process of the writing, how I feel about it when it's complete, and
Hmm.
then the sharing is a bonus, and it's a wonderful bonus if people are moved by it and love it and they respond in different ways. But that's not the motivation for doing it. That's kind of like an added thing.
So when you've created this piece of work, whatever it is, and it's come out of you and it feels, yes, that's exactly what wants to be expressed. So you're saying that it's an expression within you that needs to come out or wants to come out, and you allow it to come through, and just that process, just bringing it through, is the satisfaction, and then sharing it is just the added bonus. Is that what you're saying?
I am, yeah, yeah.
Beautiful.
So when that is that the same for when you do your shows? Like when you did Cancer Dancer, is that the same, or was that more like honed in as a this is what I want to bring, or was
Mm.
it a mix of yeah? How did that process work? How do your shows work?
Yeah, with the performance, there is more element of the need to share it, and so you have your ideas and you start writing. But if you think, right, I'm going to make a show out of this, then of course you do think how you're going to present it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting with the Cancer Dancer because I've got six, I think, one woman shows that I've done over the years. And Cancer Dancer, I started writing it when I was right at my absolute lowest, when I was going through chemotherapy treatment. I was in a very, very dark place. I was realized that I had to finish my marriage of 28 years in the middle of that. So, and it was a huge dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
So writing comedy from that point, um, I don't usually write from that very, I've never been there before, and I hope I don't go there again. But it, that was like a lifeline. Um, Finding comedy in that place was incredible and, life affirming. And so it was quite different from the way I usually write comedy. It was almost life and death, and as I was writing it, I was thinking, right, I've got to survive because nobody else can do my show.
Yeah.
I've got to live. Yeah. And of course, it wasn't just a bit of comedy, it was a massive, technically challenging show with film, with a slideshow, with backing music, with live dance, with songs and costume changes and so yeah, that was a bit mega. It was a huge production to actually get into being, more so than any other show I've ever done.
It was an amazing show.
Yeah, incredible.
It was.
And it just seems like you're so productive, Jackie. You always like coming up. You've got a new show out now, and you're always just creating new things and new offerings, and it just seems to flow from you. And I'm wondering, has that always been the case, or
Yeah.
has that grown over the years?
No, in fact, it was more so before the internet came along. Now I'm wasting loads of time messing about on Facebook. I was much more productive when I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah, the screen has just actually, yeah, it has changed my life. Because, I've lived all my life without a television. I mean, all my adult life without a television. So when the internet came along and I started engaging with that, it does waste a hell of a lot of time. So I used to be actually much more productive than what I am now.
Wow.
Mm.
Are there any benefits? I mean, are you finding it beneficial as well in terms of, I mean, thinking advertising, being able to put your work out to more people like
Oh yeah.
instantly? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, huge benefits. Yeah, I'm not dissing the internet.
Yeah.
I'm just aware that I procrastinate, and that's one of the reasons.
Mm.
But yes, I don't need to make physical posters anymore or send out physical, things like that because of the internet.
Yeah, so another thing I'm interested in, what many people who are very creative, we all have inspirations to live our creativity and to bring it through. But I think so many of us get disillusioned when we leave school and we come into the reality of the world where there's all the pressures to survive and to find a proper job, as so many of us have been told. And many of us lose our dreams of who we are, that childlike essence that knows how to be creative, and many of us just get worn away by life. So I'm interested in, how have you managed to stay connected to your creativity and to continue to bring it even in the face of that kind of pressure?
Mm. Well, I think it started in 1977 when I was 14 and punk happened.
Oh, wow.
So that just kind of helped me, it helped me affirm my rebellious streak. And I've never really bought into the kind of career mortgage, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always put my creativity first, despite, so that's what I mean. Like on the outside world, I'm not successful. I've never been earning any much money, but it hasn't been a priority. I haven't cared. So my creativity has always been number one, and my spiritual connection, spiritual life. Those two things are my main driving forces throughout my life, right from a young age. Both of those things. So therefore, I haven't really put that much importance upon the usual acquisition stuff, the material things that a lot of people do, and I've never had a proper job. Um, yeah, I've been, um, sort of what people would call poor in this culture for probably most of my life, but rich in so many other ways that I've always got by.
Mm.
Mm.
Have you found that life or the universe or whatever people you want to call it has always shown up for you? Or has that been the way, like following your creative passion, desires, your dreams in that sense of being able to express your creativity? Has life shown up, or has it been rocky, or how's it been? Because we're exploring this in our abundance concept of what what we're doing is actually sort of an experiment in terms of, well, okay, loads of people say, if you do this, if you do that, then you manifest abundance. So Iona and I are basically saying, okay, universe, show up. Let's see what happens if we go on this journey. And I think we're relatively newbies at it. What's your experience been of living with your creativity and your spirituality been the core of it? How has life shown up for you?
Yeah, good question. Well, it's definitely been rocky, yes, like you mentioned, rocky. But I don't think any life
Mm.
can avoid the rocks. It's been
So.
rocky and rolly. Um,
I love that.
and, you know, speaking as someone who doesn't live in a war zone or a, third world country, as it used to be called, of course, there's a lot of abundance in this culture. Um, I have actually been homeless and stuff, and I have been, yeah, down to the wire financially. But yeah, there is also a lot of magic and kind of abundance everywhere, and sort of little miracles occur. And I think when you do open yourself up to really listening to what your spirit and your creative self says, then yes, it might be rocky, but it, it pays for itself in the experiences that you have and the sense of achievement and fulfillment and joy
Mm.
in what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, could you describe what success means to you?
Yes. So success to me is it's not just feeling happy because I think all the feels are important, but success is being present, being able to be present
Mm.
with whatever is. Success is manifesting your creative desires and your creative urges and instincts. Success is the connections that you have with other people
Mm.
and with the earth.
Mm.
There's probably loads more, but I'll give an example of
Yeah.
what success might not look like from the outside, but is inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a gig recently this year. It was a comedy gig, and it was in a tiny little venue in Chagford on Dartmoor, which only holds 20 people. And yeah, so it's not exactly the Wembley Arena or whatever, the O2 Arena. Um, so financially, yeah, I made a few bob, but what a night we had. It was a diverse crowd. And by the end of the night, everybody just had connected with everybody else. We'd had so much laughter, so much joy, um, and just that total connection. That to me, that is a massive success.
Yeah, it feels so beautiful just hearing you say that, the connection, the laughter. And I've just got this stark contrast with the current boardrooms of today where real success happens, because that seems to be missing, that connection, that authentic, self that can be expressed, and the joy, yeah, from just being alive. So I love that. I love your definition. And I think that's why Emma and I are doing this, because there is something missing as far as we're concerned in how success is defined. And what you've just described for us, that is exactly what we're wanting to bring back to the definition of success, along with, you know, all the support of life to be physically, financially stable as well. But yeah, I love that, Jackie. Yeah, thank you.
And I can really see the joy of life flowing and glowing through you. You look so radiant. It's really beautiful.
You're not so bad yourself.
You know, when you were describing the really difficult times, how do you find the comedy in the really difficult times? I found that so inspiring because obviously, I've been through really difficult times. Iona has too, and I've always found that there's always dark humour there somewhere, even in the most bleakest of moments where you think, "What the hell is going on?" Somewhere there's something that's a bit obscure that brings a laugh, even though it might seem inappropriate to many people.
Yes, it might. Yes. Well, to me, humour saves the planet again and again. It saves our souls. And there are two myths that I know of, goddess myths, which I do teach. One of my um, classes in the goddess course is about humour, and it's using the myth of Baobo and um, Azumi. So Baobo is Greek goddess, Azumi is Japanese, and their myths are almost identical.
Really?
Yes. So Baobo, obviously you know about Demeter and Persephone.
Yeah.
So when Persephone is in the underworld, Demeter, her mother, is absolutely distraught. And she being kind of the earth, winter comes, darkness, cold, nothing is growing. There's no joy anywhere. There's no light. And she's weeping and weeping at the well. And um, who should come along but Baobo? And Baobo, the depictions of her vary, but it's like she's like a torso on legs.
Oh.
And her eyes are her breasts, and her mouth is her vulva.
Oh.
And she comes along. Well, that's one version of her, but she also comes along. So she comes along and she starts to kind of cheer Demeter up by making jokes.
Oh.
And then she gets more and more bawdy and lifts up her skirt and does all this outrageous dance. And Demeter starts laughing, and then the world comes back to life.
Oh.
And it's a really similar one with Azumi. So Amaterasu Omikami, who is the Japanese sun goddess, her brother causes a lot of problems. He's abusive, and she retreats into a cave. So, being the sun, there's no light anywhere. There's darkness everywhere. Everything dies, and people can't do anything. So she's in this cave, and all the gods and goddesses are outside trying to coax her out. Please come out. Um, and they place a mirror outside the cave entrance, but she won't come out. So Izumi comes along and she brings a wash tub and turns it upside down and stands on it and starts doing this outrageous bawdy dance. And it gets more and more, and she starts doing a strip, and it just gets more and more outrageous until everyone gathered, the gods and the goddesses, they're laughing and cheering and whooping, and everybody's just going outrageous. Well, Amaterasu hears this, and so she opens the door of the cave, and the mirror is there, and it kind of shines, and she sees her own beauty, and it shines out, and she comes out of the cave. And so it's humor in both of those myths that have saved the world.
Wow.
And so I really felt like I was in the underworld during that cancer thing. And I just kept thinking of those two myths, how relevant when things are absolutely their worst. There's a bit of life in a spark of humour. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what's coming to me as well, Jackie, when you speak is just, it's like that bigger picture for our world and where we at as a world. And somehow we've lost that. Somehow we in the underworld as a collective. And to me, it's speaking to your medicine of what you bring and your humor. And, you know, you do seem to be that
Yeah.
voice that brings the humor, that brings the laughter, that's bringing that medicine and trying to, you know, whether you know it or not, but reminding the world of that quality that brings life that somehow we've lost. Some dying has happened. So I don't know if you relate to that at all.
Yeah, but also in every moment, every moment you can sort of, not that sometimes it's inappropriate, but, you know, you can choose life to leap into the present and choose. That might not be humor, but sometimes it is humor.
Mm,
It might be just a flow of emotion, but generally we are a bit clogged up, aren't we, as
mhm.
people? And humor is one of the things that brings us right into now,
Yeah.
It really
especially
does.
if it's not just a joke you're telling from 10 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true, isn't it? Because when you're laughing, you can't be anxious or depressed or unhappy.
Mm.
Your whole body switches and changes. I remember when um, my son died, and I couldn't remember joy when I was in the deep grief.
Yeah.
So I made sure to watch some comedy every day so that I would remember I wouldn't forget, I wouldn't forget it forever, that I would know that although it's somehow it's shut down, it's present. There is a presence in me. And there would be, I chose, just some favourite comedy shows and watched about 10 minutes a day. And eventually, I was laughing heartily, that deep, it's a remembering almost, isn't it? And I think, like Iona said, that's closing down in the world. There's a massive dying and grieving going on at the moment. And if we can start to remember that seed of light, of laughter, of joy, then we have to connect. We connect with ourselves, we connect with each other, we connect with the one life, the earth, everything. You can't not really.
Mm.
And because laughter brings everyone together, it's uniting force.
Yes, it really is. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, when a whole room of people are laughing, it's a wonderful experience. We all know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we need to find the humor, look for the humor? How do we connect to that energy?
Funnily enough,
That
I'm doing a workshop on it's called Finding the Funny.
Oh,
there you
I love
go.
it. Really brilliant.
I
Finding
love
the
it.
funny.
You're
I
doing a whole
love
workshop. Is it about that? Finding,
Well,
yeah, tell us.
yeah, so this is a separate one from the goddess one where we're talking about humor to do with myth, and actually that's fun as well. But no, I'm doing a workshop. It's in about a month's time, and it's in Totnes.
Mm-hmm.
Looking for it. Yes, it's primarily a writing workshop, but it's showing people how they can choose to look with comedy spectacles at life even if just briefly for this hour and a half of the workshop. So there are little ways of doing it. And you'll have to come to the workshop to find out.
We will. We'll put the details below so people can connect to that if they are in Totnes or around.
But sometimes there is a choice. There is a choice. Like I could actually let go of all my judgments, my opinions, my this, that, and the other to find humour. It's almost getting yourself out of the way often.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, is that like the conditioning that we've in our mental state and wanting to appear in a certain way? Is that what you mean?
yes, there is that as well. That kind of sort of inhibition.
Hmm.
And you do have to trust yourself a lot with humor, like, oh my God, this is funny, say it.
Hmm.
But also, yeah, we get into habits in our mind of worry, doubt, fear. So, fear of the future, worry about the future, things about the past. We're hardly ever in the present, let's face it. We spend a lot of time elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Anxieties and stuff, they're often either from the past or about the future.
So you're saying to connect to humor, we really need to be in the present moment and looking through certain
Yeah.
spectacles and just looking for it.
Yes, and actually going out to, because part of my workshop, the writing workshop, I'll get people to actually go out and see what they can find that's funny. Whereas often we go out and our heads are full of stuff and thinking about, oh, what am I going to buy or what have I got to get? Who am I meeting? Blah, blah, blah. We don't see with funny eye, like, oh my God, look at that. That's actually hilarious. So yeah, it can be a way of seeing the world.
I love that. I love that. Going out to look for
Yeah.
what's funny. I don't think I've ever done that.
Well, maybe this is a challenge for today. After
Yes, I accept. Oh, yeah. So just what advice would you give Jackie to, to the world that's on this trajectory to it seems to me it's quite serious, to get ahead, to strive, to become something, to, be better than someone else. It does feel like this relentless treadmill that we're on in terms of the word success and what that means. So I'm wondering if you can just speak to the world around through your eyes, your voice. What would you say to that, to them, to us?
I'm not very good at giving advice. Um,
Well, yeah. I
yeah.
was going to say if it helps with in terms of that, if someone had a creative spark, how would they work with it?
Um, I think creativity and play are so intertwined. I cannot emphasize that enough. So, we're so used to being in our heads in this culture,
Mm-hmm.
only this culture, not other cultures.
Yeah.
And we've got all the reasons not to kind of worry about what mark I'm making on the page or how does somebody think about this, and we're second guessing ourselves all the time. Whereas if we don't take it so seriously and enjoy the ride, so that is of course being in the moment, but it's playing and not worrying about the end result. If you're worrying about the end result, you're not in the process of truly being creative.
Mm.
You're letting it unfold and you're enjoying the process. And
So that's really coming back into the childlike state, isn't it?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And of
And do you
course,
have any tips on how
any
to get
adult.
into the childlike state?
I was going to add to that I don't think I hardly know any adults that are comfortable with playing, even if they want to. It's been so much like browbeaten out of us that that is just a child thing to do, and that how do, yeah, as grown-ups, any tips about how we access that again? Because there's a confidence thing, isn't there, for lots of people, and
It really made me cry.
oh,
Oh, love.
it's true, isn't it?
It's horrendously true. God.
It really is. And it's the confidence of people think it's stupid or belittling.
Yeah,
That's how much we are have it knocked out of us.
yeah,
But it's just these ages between, I don't know, baby to 5 or 6, and then suddenly you're in school, and you can only do it up at playtime at school, and that's it, or when you finish school.
yes,
Not even in lessons. I mean, I find it's just so, yeah, it's really upsetting.
yeah,
So how do we bring that confidence and that love? Because it comes with a natural curiosity. Children, like you say, they're innately born with creativity, with self-expression, with curiosity, with playfulness. How do we bring that back to ourselves? It's like a gift, gifting ourselves with the truth of who we are, really, isn't it?
yes. Well, I agree, but the how is, I don't know, it might be different for different people,
Mm.
but, and, if you are stuck in not being able to play, then it's quite a process. It's quite a process. And I wouldn't really know how to direct somebody to that because I'm already there. um,
It's almost like an unlearning, isn't it? Somehow you have to unlearn and let go of the conditioning and the
yeah,
repression to access the child that feels safe
yeah,
enough,
yes.
safe enough to express again.
Yeah.
Because it's the inner child that wants to express.
Actually, the artist's way, I did that only recently.
Yeah, me too.
And
Well, I did a companion book, yeah.
I did it while I was in chemo, actually, and my daughter did it at the same time. And one of the first sentences I read was, this is how to reconnect with your inner artist. And your inner artist is your inner child. And it
Oh,
was like, that was it.
Mm.
mm,
So anything creative it is connected with your inner child.
mm,
But to actually start listening to the voice of your inner child might be tricky if you've been shushing it for a long time.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's definitely what we've experienced, isn't it, Emma? That this journey to go and on our creativity, to follow our joy, it's absolutely connecting us to our inner child. And I am actually starting to do things that I loved as a child and dreamed about as a child, and going into those worlds and creating from that place, but with weaving in, who I am now, and all of the wisdom that I've embodied from growing into an adult. And yeah, it is just wonderful and joyful. And I think that's why we're doing this, isn't it, Emma? To find our own inner child, that and connect to this some authentic thread of creativity that child just knows and is.
yeah,
And it's absolutely insane that it is such a difficult journey for so many of us to get back to something that is just so natural, that we so naturally have when we're young.
yes.
Yeah.
Mm,
But whatever ways you can do it, like dance, like anything creative,
mm,
Mm-hmm.
or just sitting outside in nature
Mm.
yeah.
and seeing how it moves you.
Nature's
Have
such a beautiful teacher.
we do make ourselves laugh a lot, don't we? And when we go on our walks and things like that, we're like, oh, it's a spider, or oh, it's a caterpillar, and then we're just like, it's so
Yeah.
funny.
And nature's just naturally, it just
So
naturally
abundant.
supports that. It's
Yeah,
so
it
beautiful.
does.
And I know you really connected into nature, aren't you, Jackie? You live on the edge of Dartmoor. You do beautiful poems about trees, and nature just is so present with everything you do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, having been kind of brought up in a very urban, suburban environment, it was like,
Mhm.
what's nature?
Mm.
Yeah. So I've just, yeah, it's
Mm.
it's a lifeline that I didn't have as a child.
Mm.
kind of, yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, so we've got about 10 minutes left. So I'm just wondering, Jackie, do you want to share where you, like what you're involved in? You've mentioned some of the things you're doing at the moment. Yeah, I don't want to, if you want to share, and how can people connect with you and your work?
Right. Well, I've got a website,
Great.
www.jackie-juno.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much a static website in a way. It just shows you a lot of the things that I do. So it hasn't really got news on it as such. But shortly, I'm going to learn how to update my website without dismantling it. So hopefully, at some point soon, I will be putting more current, relevant things up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff in Devon, various gigs. I've got this new show called Bonkers about sex and love, mostly about sex, let's face it.
Got to see that one. Got to see it.
Yeah.
It's quite interactive, and I don't mean that we'll have group sex.
Okay. I was
But
thinking, we don't need to bring vibrators then?
you can if you like. But
Right, okay.
so that's it. It has got me doing some stand up and poetry and a bit of singing, but I get the audience to join in. You don't have to join in, but it's such fun. And that was the gig I was talking about with the 20 people. That by the end of the night, everybody
Oh,
connected so much. So it is fun, and it's not scary. I don't put anybody on the spot. It's just if you want to get involved, you can, and it's things like writing and yeah.
Mm.
And I've brought out this alter ego who is an Irish Catholic nun called Sister Benedicta of the Congregation of the Sisters of the Holy Order of the Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary at the Church of the I can't remember it all. Anyway, yeah. So she comes and she brings a portable confession box,
oh wow.
which is a totally confidential service, and that's available so that you can, free yourself from your sins and be absolved of your sins, and then you can go off and do them all again. So that's fun. And yeah, I've been asked to be the poet at the Stonehenge
Wow,
summer
really?
solstice Eve ceremony. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Again, it's not really something that's paid. It's not, but to me, to send out my poems from that place at that time, it's kind of like prayers, and for the energetically, it's such a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Yeah, that really is
so great.
So
wow.
I've got lots of bits and pieces on. I have been running creative writing classes. Oh yeah, that one I mentioned is I think that's part of Poets and Pints, which is a monthly poetry open mic thing in Totnes at the Library Bar in Totnes. That workshop I'm doing, Finding the Funny, is Monday the 9th of June.
Monday the 9th of June.
And
So, Jackie, you said these are not all on your website?
No.
You're still learning to update it, but yeah. So, how could people find them?
Yeah, because if you tell us about them, we can put all the info as well for you.
Yeah. They can go to my website and email me. That's the best bet. And
Perfect. Okay.
what they're interested in. But yeah, I've got a date with the website builder soon, and he's going to show me how to actually do that without dismantling it.
Wonderful. Okay.
Have you still got tickets for Bonkers available?
Yeah, so I'm doing Bonkers on the 24th of May, which is the Saturday night of the bank holiday at the end of May.
Yeah.
And that's in just south of Totnes at Hatch Barn, which is a funky little venue at Lod as well.
Amazing.
And I'm also doing a show, possibly more, with Trevor Locke, who is on the television, comedian and writer. So shall I text you all this info.
Send us it all, and we'll put it up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it down below in the comment section, and then people
Down
can find
below.
it.
Down below.
Because we know how to do that. We've learned.
We need that portable confessional box, please.
We do. Gosh, Jackie, so you're doing so much as usual, and I'm just wondering, like, for you going forward, is it going to be more of these beautiful creations that just seem to come out of your creative box, or is there anything that you're really aspiring to going into your future? Yeah, what do you see for yourself?
Well, I suppose I really would like to tour Cancer Dancer. And it's not an easy undertaking. Technically, it's quite challenging. And I need a tour manager or somebody who's able to help me with that, me and my director.
Are you putting a shout out for one here?
Yes,
For tour manager?
Tour manager required.
Okay. We'll put that below as well.
Thank you. I'm about to move house, and I think I'm going to be wanting to live back on the land again now that I've had my hip done. And I'm not on crutches anymore. So it's a big summer. You know, I'm away a lot at festivals. I'm doing Glastonbury as the returning slam champion.
Yes.
And yeah, so I've got a lot on outside of what I'm doing, but the tour is definitely something I would like to do. I've also got an idea for another show. Help, stop. So that might be in the pipeline as well. Just catch me while you can, while I'm alive. That's the key, isn't it?
I love you, Jackie. I mean, you are just so alive, so creative. I don't think I've ever met anyone so alive. So just pumping so many gifts out all the time. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us your inspiration. And we're all inspired to go and play.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
Thank you for asking me. It really means a lot.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. Thanks so much.
Okay, so on that note, this is goodbye for now, and you can catch Jackie on the links. We'll put it all below.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time. Here's to redefining success.
So much love.
So much love. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.